Hi there. In this video, I'll show you how to put together a scene in Unity that you can look at with your Oculus Quest via Oculus Link. So go to your Unity hub, make sure you've got a good recent version of Unity installed. Mine is 2019.4.15F1. And then I'll go to Projects, and we're going to make a new project. This one is going to be a high definition RP. Select a folder to put your project in and give it a name. It'll take just a minute to load, so we'll hang out for a minute. Alright, when my project loaded, then I saw a window like this that says HD Render Pipeline Wizard, and if I click on the tab that says HDRP plus VR, there's a few things we need to fix. So there's a little stop sign that says XR Management Package and a button that says Fix. Go ahead and click Fix. It'll take a moment. Okay, and the next thing that I saw was it said Oculus Plugin must be installed manually, and then single pass instancing must be enabled. So to install the Oculus Plugin, we're going to go to Edit, and then we'll go to Project Settings. On the left-hand side, there's this very bottom menu option that says XR Plugin Management, and then you'll see checkboxes, and you want to click Oculus. Okay, after that finishes, you don't need to do any accept or anything. You just click out of this and click out of this. Okay, next step is we have to go to the Window menu, and we're going to go to the Package Manager. And this is interesting because we're installing a package that hasn't fully been released yet. So in this Advanced menu you see near the top of the Package Manager, pull that menu down and click on Show Preview Packages. And they show up in alphabetical order. So scroll down almost to the bottom, and you want to find the XR Interaction Toolkit. Right here. Go ahead and install it. Okay, after you've installed this package, you get this warning dialog box. Go ahead and click Yes, and then it will prompt you to restart Unity, and you'll probably need to restart Unity. Okay, we'll come back as soon as it's restarted. Okay, so after we've gotten this far, we are now ready to start creating a scene for our VR rig. And by the way, the term XR that you saw show up in that package manager is just an all-encompassing term that involves VR and AR together, so XR. Alright, so in our Assets folder, go down to your Project Explorer, and there's a folder that says Scenes. Double-click on it. And right now we have this sample scene open. We're going to make a new scene, just a brand new one from scratch. So right-click somewhere in this blank space and say Create, and then find the menu option for Scene. And then I'll give it a name. I'll call it Demo 4, just the same as my project, and we'll double-click on it to open it. Okay, so here we are in a demo scene. Now, so far, it has not much to it. There's a main camera and there's a directional light. So we're ready to add in our XR rig, so extended reality VR AR rig. Go to Game Object, find XR in the menu, and we're going to do a room scale XR rig. And so it added it right there, and you can see it replaced the main camera with that XR rig. So we are in a place now where we should be able to at least run the program and look around. So make sure that you have your Oculus Quest powered on. Plug it into a USB cable. You want to make sure it's plugged into a USB 3 port on your computer. You may, when you plug it in, you might find it gives you a message to enable Oculus Link. Go ahead and enable the Oculus Link. I'll go ahead and do that now. It says, do you want to allow access to this headset? Yes, I do. Do I want to enable Oculus Link? I do. Okay, so now that that's enabled, we are ready to go. Let's go ahead and push, there's a play button up here near the top of Unity. We'll push play, and when we do, it should start streaming it to the headset. If you have the Oculus software running, and your Oculus link cable is attached. And indeed, I'm in the scene. I can look around. It's nothing special. It's a black void and a horizon, but I can see that the camera rig is working. So far, so good. So next we're going to add the ability to see our hands. The way that we do this is, first of all, I'll make it so that the scene is slightly less boring by adding a plane and something to look at. So go to the Game Object menu, and we're going to do a 3D object. Oddly, a plane is a 3D object, not a 2D object, so 3D object plane, and then it just kind of puts a floor in your scene. Now you'll notice it's really dark, like it shows up super black, so there's a trick for making the scene brighten up a little bit, and here's how you do it. Find the original sample scene, click on that, double click to open it. It might prompt you to save. I'm going to save. And in the sample scene, there's an object in the hierarchy called post-process volume. Click on that, hit Control-C to copy it, go back to your new scene, so I'm going to double click on that, go back up to the hierarchy and Control-V to paste it. So the post-process volume will brighten up the scene a little bit. The other thing you may have to do is I have this object called directional light. Click on that, and I notice the intensity of my directional light is kind of low, so you can brighten it up. Let's set the intensity to 1000, and then you can see my, my plane around me turn sort of a gray color. Next, let's add something to look at. So I'm going to put just a primitive object like a sphere in the scene. Go to Game Object, 3D Object, Sphere, and it makes a sphere. The sphere seems like it's kind of like sunk below the main plane here. That's a little odd. Let me click on the plane. That's at 0, 0, 0. Click on the sphere. It's spawned at a kind of an odd location. So you get these little handles that you can use to grab it and move it around. You can also type in this transform the coordinates that you want it to be. So I'm going to make the x be, say, 1.5, and the y will be 0.5, and the z will be, 2.05 is just fine. I can even pull it a little bit that way. Okay, so you can see the x and y move it side to side, and the y is what pulls it up and down. Lastly, I know I'm kind of being picky about details, but I'm just teaching you a few things about using Unity. Let's change the color of this sphere. So I'm going to find my Project Explorer and click on the Assets folder. I like to make a folder to hold all of my materials, so I'm going to right-click in the blank area and say Create, and then do Folder, and I'll call this Materials. Okay, double-click on the Materials folder, right-click in this empty space here, and we'll do Create. Material is right there, and it makes a new material. On the right-hand side, you see your inspector, and on the inspector, there's this little white block with an eyedropper next to it. Click on the white block, and you get a color picker. There we go. And so I can make that sphere any color I want. And you can see the color of this new material changes as well. And then lastly, grab your new material and drop it on top of the sphere. Okay, so now we have something to look at. Now we're ready to add hands to our camera rig. So adding a hand is as simple as creating a cylinder object and then connecting it to the XR rig. So we're going to do another game object, 3D object, cylinder. Now the cylinder it makes is way too big and it's positioned really strangely, so we're going to change some of its features. First I'm going to change its name, and I'll call it right hand. Okay, and after I changed its name, let's go over to the inspector. I'm going to make its position be 0, 0, 0, so 0x, 0y, 0z. Its rotation is going to be 90 on the x. And for its scale, that scale is way too big. It's 1 meter wide and 1 meter tall. So let's make it 0.05. That always seems to be just about the right size for the cylinder. 0.05 on the X, Y, and the Z. And then, to make this be one of your hands, find the XR rig in your scene and click on this triangle to expand it. Find the camera offset, click on the triangle to expand that. And then you'll see left-hand controller and right-hand controller. Pick up the cylinder called right hand, and you're going to drag it drag it on top of right-hand controller. You want that to light up. You don't want to see the line in between. You want the right-hand controller to be highlighted, and then drop it there. And you'll see the right hand shows up as a child of the right-hand controller. We're going to duplicate it by hovering over the right hand and doing Control D, and then pick up right hand 1, drag it on top of left-hand controller so it lights up. And I am going to rename this. There we go. I finally got the rename feature, and we'll do left hand. Okay. And I'm going to zoom out by using the scroll wheel so it doesn't, but you can see the hands are right there, right in the center of the camera rig. So we should be in a place where we can see our hands when we enter in VR again. So I'm going to save my scene, and let's see if this works. Okay, turns out when I pushed play and I put on the VR headset, that hands weren't working. They didn't move. So we need to do one more thing in order to get the hands to work. And this is a complicated part of the process. I can't explain it. It's probably going to change in a month or two, but here we go. Go to the window, and then find the package manager. You're going to scroll down and find the XR Toolkit again. So XR Interaction Toolkit right there. Okay. There are multiple versions of this toolkit, and we've installed version 0.10.0. If I expand XR Interaction Toolkit and then click See All Versions, I can see more of them, and we're going to try 0.9.3. So first we installed 0.10.0. We tested our program. It didn't work. Now we're backing off to 0.9.3. Not sure why this works, but stay with me. It'll take a moment, and then we'll test again. Okay, I tested it, and it did not work, so we have to do one more thing. This is a fabulous part of working with emerging version updates. So click on your XR rig. Actually, before we delete this thing, we're going to take the cylinders that we worked so hard to make as hands and get them out of the way. So grab the cylinder for your left hand and just drag it down to the very bottom so you see a line. Put it there. Grab the cylinder for your right hand. Do the same thing. Okay. Click on your XR rig and hit the delete key. Goodbye. We're going to bring the XR rig back now that we've got the old version of the package installed. So we go to the Game Object menu, XR, Room Scale XR Rig. Okay, now we can, just as we did before, expand this, expand the camera offset, and you see left-hand controller and right-hand controller. So you grab your cylinders named left hand and right hand and put them on top of those as before. Left hand goes on top of left-hand controller. Right hand goes on top of right-hand controller. Double check, click on left hand, and make sure the coordinates are still 0, 0, 0. Sometimes they shift around when you move them. So mine changed. 0, 0, 0. Go to the right hand and make it be 0, 0, 0. Okay. Everything looks good. We're going to do a file save, and let's test it and see if this works. Okay, so that's what I needed to do in order to get the rig set up and be able to see my hands. So as complicated as it is, you install the most current version of the package, add an XR rig, put hands in there, test it, it won't work, back the version off to 0.9.3, delete the XR rig, add it again, and then put the hands back. And when you do that, you should be able to put on your Oculus Quest, run the program, and see the little world, and you should have little cylinder hands with red rays coming out of them. So in the next video, I will show you how to teleport using those little hands, and that won't be as complicated as this just was.